I done came a long way. I'm only taking one step at a time towards healing myself. I had to get out, I found a way out. No more living in pain or misery. It's all about protecting my energy. Keep the negative away from me, because I am just keeping my peace. Cut off everything that no longer was serving me, and I chose to start loving myself. I walk in my purpose, no looking back, I'm only going within. B.O. standing there, a better version of me. I must say that I'm proud of me. It's not about how you feel, I'm living proof that God is real. So let me show you how to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, cause I came a long way. My journey isn't yet complete, that's what it look like to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, I'm proud of myself. It's nothing to it, you can do it, all you gotta do is just fight through it. Creative soul, creative soul, creative soul. Just fight through it. Creative soul, creative soul, creative soul, creative soul, yeah, yeah.
where we have open discussions to heal together as a community. Today we're on episode 56 and we're talking about DV awareness. And our special guest today is Angie. Welcome, Angie.
Hello. How
How
are
are
you
you?
today? I'm
I'm
good.
good. Good, good. Well, I am excited to have you. I'm always excited when I get a new guest, but I know that your story is going to touch God's people. It's really going to help them. So we're going to get right on into it. How about that?
Sounds good
Um,
to me.
I will tell our guests today that if any time you feel uncomfortable or if it's too much for you, feel free to walk away on any parts that is too much for you. Sometimes it gets heavy. So I'm going to say trigger warning because we are talking about DV today. Okay. This month is DV awareness. And so we do want to talk to the community about this because it's a topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about in the community.
Yes.
We have a lot of people that I say they coddle people that are abusers. And so we want to change that. And we have to, be the change that we want to see. So we're definitely going to talk about that today. So let's get on into it, Angie. So go ahead and tell us how has it been for you?
It's it's been hard. Um it's been 7 years since I escaped the situation, and it was only God's grace that I was able to escape it. I went through things that should have killed me. I've just gotten the strength to understand not to be embarrassed or ashamed
Mm-hmm.
happened to me, and to understand what happened to me made me the woman I am today and the woman that I'm becoming. So once I was able to leave all of that at God's feet and just let him have it and take control of everything, it it took a weight off my shoulders. This will be my first time speaking about it publicly.
Well, I want you to know that this is a safe space. I tell all my guests I cannot control what people write um, when it comes to the comments, but I can control who comes on my platform. I can control what I delete. And so I
Mhm.
do not stand for people being bullied, hurt, or harmed. And so I will make sure that if something is there that is hurtful, it will be taken down. So you don't have to worry about that.
Thank
Um,
you.
you're welcome. I want you to be able to speak freely. And over here on Pain to Purpose, we do not cover up our feelings to make other people comfortable because it's our
There we
story
go.
and it happened to us. So if anybody is feeling uncomfortable, I don't care if it's a family or a friend, if you're feeling, or ex-friend, you're feeling uncomfortable, maybe it's you that's calling abusers. So feel free to tell
Mhm.
your story the way God leads you to tell your story.
Yes, ma'am.
So can you tell us how you got to this point? Like where did you meet this person at and like when did it start?
I actually met this person my freshman year of college. So this was back in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Don't laugh. I'm probably going to tell my age.
You
Um
can laugh.
this person, when I first met this person, um I really didn't give this person the time of day, so probably about 2007. So he
Mm-hmm.
pursued me for about 2 years.
Okay.
And it, sweetheart, a sweetheart. I ignored all the red flags.
And
When I
what
say I
red
ignored all the red flags, so the red flags that, as I look back, the red flags that I noticed was always wanting to be around me,
Okay.
24/7. Once I got off of work or once he got off of work, we were together,
Okay.
inseparable. Um, Most people look for men that's very attentive to them,
Mhm.
but that was a red flag. His attentive was not, you know, what it should have been.
Was
He
it
gave me
more
all the
like
attention in the world.
so was it more like him being a you think he's been attentive, but he's really trying to keep you away from other people and isolate you before he
Yes.
started the abuse?
Yes.
Okay.
To the point where I couldn't go out with my friends. He will always try to make sure I was with him 24/7 so I couldn't hang out with my friends, things like that. He actually pulled me away from my family to the point because I'm originally from California.
Mhm.
So, of course, I have no family where I was located.
Okay.
Um, he pulled me away from my family to the point where I didn't even talk to my father for 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
Um, and looking back, it was control. It was control. And looking back on his situation, he was the oldest on his mom's side with his, siblings, and his mom depended on his help. So I think he had that mentality of everybody needs me. I have control over this, and this. And he wasn't raised with his father. His father was in prison from when he was my abuser was 7 years old. I think he was just released a few years ago. So he didn't grow up with a father.
So there was some childhood trauma there. And what I've learned is that when people don't heal from their childhood trauma, they bleed on other people because they didn't
And
heal. And a lot, go ahead.
yes, and I'll agree. And I feel like I tolerated a lot to give a little more back history of me.
Hmm.
I wasn't raised by neither one of my parents.
Okay.
Both of my parents were on drugs when they were born, when I was born.
Hmm.
Um, so I wasn't raised by neither my mother nor my father.
Okay.
I was actually raised by my aunt, which is related to my biological father by marriage. She took me in. She was 60 years old, took me in. And I don't wanna call her my aunt. That was my mama slash grandmother. And my father that I call father now is really my cousin. He took me in at the age of 18 because I just start calling him dad. He couldn't turn me away. So shout out to
Wow.
him. And I think the fact of having that childhood abandonment
Hmm.
made me hold on and deal with that because I didn't want to feel abandoned.
So do
So
you
I had
believe
a
you
lot
have
of,
daddy issues?
I won't say I have issues. That actually birthed me. My dad is my only parent. So I don't think I had daddy issues. I think it was more of the abandonment issues, knowing that both my biological parents didn't raise me, didn't want me, not knowing that they had a mental issue due to being on drugs.
Okay.
Versus my thought process was I just wasn't wanted.
Okay.
Hmm.
So he started off by isolating you.
Yes.
When was the first, after isolating you, then it became mental?
It became mental approximately about 2010, right after I had our son.
Okay.
Once I had our son, the mental controlling
Hmm.
and the verbal abuse started really bad. I think it was the thought process of him like, oh, she has my son. I have all control. She's not going nowhere.
Okay.
So probably approximately my son was born in 2009. So approximately about 2010, I actually had my son back in California. He Sweet nothings in my ear. I need my son closer to me. X, Y, and Z this, X, Y, and Z that. And I was like, you know
Mhm.
what? Yes. Me not having neither one of my parents, I didn't want my child to be raised with neither, one parent, or I wanted him to at least have both of us. So I
Mhm.
made that decision to move back to the state that, we met in.
Mhm.
And that's when everything started going downhill.
Okay. So how did that make you feel not being able to be around your family, being isolated? How did you handle that?
I fell into depression real bad. I, you know, my family is all that I had. I've, you know, I've always been a very family oriented person, and I fell into depression real bad. But of course, I tried to hide it,
Mhm.
working and things like that, and tried to tell myself, hey, this man loves me. He loves me.
Mhm.
But, you know, was it true love? No. I just still ignored the signs.
So when did it happen? That first time it became physical. Where were you?
So the first time that it became physical was back in 2014. So by this time, my son was what, about 4. I was home, and I remember taking out the trash that
Mhm.
morning before I went to work. Mind you, we didn't live
Mhm.
together. We stayed separate. I had my own place. He had his own place.
Mhm.
I forgot to put the garbage bag back in the trash can.
Okay.
He exploded. He exploded. Why? I have no clue. When I say exploded, exploded. He came up to my job, pulled me out my job, calling me all types of names. And by that time, it wasn't physical, but I knew it was going there.
Okay.
Back in
Take your time.
2011, I found out he had another child on the way.
Okay.
The girl was probably about 7 months pregnant. And every time I would bring it up, he got angry. And once I was able to start doing everything on my own, far as paying the bills and paying my son daycare, I was making more money, working more hours. I think he's seen that break where, hey,
Mhm.
I don't need you.
Mhm.
He had to find another way to pull me back into control me.
So abusers, they want you to feel like you can't do anything without them. And sometimes they go after
Yes.
people that have low self-esteem, or people that have been through something before. They seek a certain person.
Yes.
I mean, you do have some, they just abuse anybody. It doesn't matter. There's a mental illness there, but you do have some out there that they seek a certain type of woman or women.
Hmm.
And so the minute that you showed him that you can survive on your own and God got you, his mentality changed. So it was like he had to figure out another way to keep you there.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely agree.
So what was your decision?
So after that initial situation that happened, I still stayed. I had nobody. I wasn't talking to my family. He kind of blocked me from, speaking to my family. Didn't speak to my dad for 5 years. He pulled me away from friends and things like that. At that time, I was a store manager. So of
Mhm.
course I had employees working for me. I couldn't even get phone calls from my employees on my off days just to let me know, hey boss, this is done, this is done, this is done. Is there anything else that need to be done? He blew a gasket. He didn't want nobody calling me, nobody texting me. If I was at work helping a customer, if he called me, I had to stop helping that customer and answer his phone call.
So at this point, your job and everybody knows that you're in an abusive relationship.
They had thoughts. I was going to work with bruises, black eyes. They were like, what happened? Of course, I lied. My son hit me in the eye with the remote, his game controller, or my son kicked me, he was putting marks on me to where I can cover them up. I was wearing long sleeve shirts in 100-degree weather because
Whoa.
he will do most of my bruises, arms, stomach area, back, legs. So I can cover it up. It's been times where, yes, the face area was injured. And of course, I had to lie. And, you know, some of them kind of caught on.
Mhm.
And the responses I was getting were not the responses I needed.
Okay.
There wasn't responses of, let me help you. There were more responses of, it couldn't be me.
Mm-mm-mm.
I don't know why you allowing this to happen. August of 2018, that was the last straw. I was at work. I was helping a customer. I had to actually look up an item on my cell phone for the customer because the system was glitching. He walked in and he swore up and down I was texting who I don't know. He wanted to see my phone, and I was like, no. By this time, I thought he's not going to act out because it's people in this. He followed me all the way to the back of the store into the inventory room and hit me,
Wow.
pulled me out the store to the point where I had to go home. I told my assistant manager, hey, cover the store. My assistant manager, by that time, he knew. He knew. I told him I'll be okay. I pulled up at home. Whew. He followed me in the house. Soon as I entered the house, he threw me on the kitchen floor.
Whoa.
My keys flew under the stove. At this time, I didn't know where my keys went. I just didn't know. I left my purse in the car. He threw me on the kitchen floor. And when I say he just started beating me, he beat me. Beat me so bad, I knew. I was like, I'm not gonna make it. By this time, my assistant manager called my phone and I tried to answer it without him knowing so they can hear in the background. And I know I was yelling, just, I'm gonna call the police, leave me alone, just leave me alone, just leave me alone. And it made it worse. He started hitting me in my face, my arms, my stomach, my back, my legs. The police, I can hear my assistant in the background on the phone saying, they're on their way, they're on their way. And I guess he heard it too. He yanked me out my house, dragged me down my driveway, threw me in
Oh
his
my.
car, took me to where I don't know, because by this time he started hitting my head against the passenger window and I blacked out. He held me hostage for 3 hours, just beating me, beating me, beating me, beating me. Kept asking, who are
But
you
where was
texting?
your
Who are you
son?
texting? Who are you on the phone with?
But where
This
was your
time, my
son
son
during
was actually with his grandmother. It was
Okay.
a weekend. He normally went with his grandmother on the weekends. And thank God, because this was the worst. And I hate to say it, my son witnessed most of the abuse. He did it in front of our son plenty of times. I have been thrown into, if you have a bedroom set, sometimes the big that's attached to the dresser. He has thrown me where it has shattered and cut my back open. He has
Jesus.
put weapons to my head. He has choked me to the point where I have passed blacked out. Came back to him beating me, talking about wake up, stop playing. And my son would hear, he says, stop screaming. If you keep screaming and he comes in here, I'm gonna beat you worse. I remember one night my son peeked in the room and he yelled at him and told him to go back in his room. Once he got done beating me, most days, and this, he was beating me almost 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh my God.
I felt like whatever pissed him off that day, he'll come and take it out on me, to the point where I would go sit in the bathtub and my son would come in there and be like, Mommy, what happened? What's wrong? How do you tell a 5, 6 year old what's going on? So after that last initial beating, I told myself, I gotta go. This happened on a Saturday. By that Monday, I had to pick my son up from daycare and drop him off to his dad and return back to work. And when
Mm-hmm.
I did that, dad beat me again. And by this time, I was like, I can't do this no more. By this time, this was 3.5 years of physical abuse every day almost. From, like I said, being choked out till I pass out,
Jesus.
weapons being pointed to my head. It it took a lot. It took a lot out of me. So that Wednesday, I got the strength and I went down to this community action place that handled domestic violence. And I pulled up to the place and I left work. And my fear was, what if he rides past my job and he doesn't see my car there? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to be at work. I'm going to get beat. I went back to work. I turned around, I went back to work. The next day was a Thursday, and I knew he had an appointment probably about an hour and a half away of where we lived. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, this is my chance. I called my dad. Mind you, I haven't spoken to my dad in 5 years. I called my dad. I said, Dad, I need a plane ticket. Me and your grandson need a plane ticket. And he didn't even have to ask me why. I guess he just heard it. He was like, okay. He was like, are you safe? I said, no. He said, get somewhere. I said, okay. So by this time, I already had dropped my son off at school, went back down to the community action place that dealt with domestic violence. A detective met me there. They took my report, pictures of all my bruises. I had bruises from here all the way down, defensive wounds from here, both arms, both of my arms are black and blue, ribs, butt, thighs, feet. He even broke my finger that first original time with the vacuum cleaner. So
Wait, he
that,
broke your finger with a vacuum cleaner?
yes, you see how this finger don't go down like the other ones?
Mhm.
This finger was broken. He broke this finger with the vacuum cleaner. He threw it at me and it fractured these bones, broke these bones. So while the detective was taking my report, this man called me 178 times within 30 minutes trying to figure out where I was. I knew I had time because I knew he was an hour and a half away. The detective was like, "Hey, where's your son?" I said, "He is at school." He said, "I'm calling his school now. Go get him." I went. The school had put my son in, pulled him out of school, out of class, and made him sit in the cafeteria until I got there. I had
Mhm.
one of my good friends take me, and we got my son. We all went back to the domestic violence place that helps out. And my son was trying to figure out what's going on. Mom, what's going on? He just seen the panic and everything on me. I said, "Don't worry about it. We're going to be okay." My dad called me. He said, "Your email." He was like, "Give me your friend's email so I can send over your plane ticket information." My dad booked me and my son plane ticket within an hour for us to fly home. The airport was about 2 hours away. I left my house, everything in there. I left my car. I called my boss and said, "Hey, I got to take emergency leave. I don't know if I'm coming back or not." I disappeared. My friend drove us 2 hours to grab a flight. I had a layover. Once I got to my layover, we missed our connecting flight. And this by this time, our layover's in Texas.
Okay.
They put us in a hotel, me and my son in a hotel. The next morning, the
Take your
next
time.
morning, my flight was delayed again. Mechanical issues. I said, "God, what's going on?" By this time, I'm not even gonna lie, I had no faith. I had no faith because I thought, why me? What I do? Why me? Second flight they put booked us for, delayed. So we was in the airport from 6 a.m. to about 4 p.m. So our third flight was on time. My son said, "Mommy, I want a sim bun. Come on, let's go. Let's use the bathroom because it's about to be time to board. Let's get your sim bun." Soon as we was walking, his dad was walking in the airport. He flew from the state we were in all the way to Texas. How he found me, I have no clue.
Was there a
By this
something
time,
on your phone?
I was on the phone that he had access to was completely powered off, dead. After when he was calling me that 178 times, I let it die. My friend gave me one of her extra phones for me to use to make sure I had was able to contact my dad. My dad was the only person that knew where we were. My dad was the only person. When I'm thinking, he worked for a cell phone company. I'm thinking he hacked some way into my emails to get my contacts because he knew my dad would probably be the person to help. And I think he hacked my dad's phone to intercept our messages because that was the only thing I can think of.
Oh,
By the grace of God, when we ran to him in the airport, I was feet away from security. I ran straight to security and I told them what was going on. They seen the physical abuses.
Mhm.
And by this time they said, did he do? I said, yes. I had the police report on my phone. Luckily, the detective was nice enough to go ahead and email me a copy of it before I
So when
left.
you ran to security, where was he?
He was walking behind us, calling my name. Give me my son back. Where are you going? You just need to come back. You're getting on a plane with me back. By this time, the security guard called multiple security guards. So they separated us. And one security guard sat there and got on the plane with us and sat there until the plane was about to take off. They banned him from that airport and made him they took him to whatever gate and made him purchase a ticket and go home. So by the time I got home back to California, this was going into Labor Day weekend. So once the courts opened up, I had to go file a restraining order. Luckily, I had the police reports, I had the pictures, I had the text messages. I have text messages from him saying, "You're gonna make me beat you," like threatening messages. So they knew, you know, they granted me a temporary restraining order. Probably about 2 days later, he flew all the way to California to try to take my son out of school and take him back with him. But since we had the temporary protection order, my son was under that protection order and he wasn't able to. I changed my phone number over 8 times in a week because he kept getting my new phone number,
Oh
kept
my
calling,
God.
kept threatening me, and I don't know how. I switched phone providers multiple times just so he he still
Mhm.
I'm still going to kill you, to the point where I was scared to go anywhere. He knew where my dad lived, and the city we lived in was real small. I was scared to go out the house. Um, but the threatening phone calls never stopped. It didn't stop until February of 2020 when the restraining order was granted for 2 years. And still then, it kind of didn't stop. He just was able to hide his tracks to prove that it wasn't him. Um, Looking
So during
back,
this time, did you start praying and your faith was restored now that you have
by
gotten away?
this time I started praying.
Mhm.
Was my faith restored? I didn't have faith in the first place. So to use the word restored, I don't think so. I I knew that it was God that got me out of it,
Mhm.
but I still didn't have faith. We went through a long court battle for custody of our son that actually just ended May of last year, where he was fighting me for full custody.
So
And
even so one second here. So even though he was abusive to you for years and you had marks all over your body, you still had to fight for custody.
Yes, ma'am.
So he never went to jail for being
There
abusive.
he so I never pressed I never pressed charges. And the reason why I didn't press charges was because I didn't want to come back to the state that it happened in. They told me I would have to come back, test. I was scared out my mind. I didn't want to. The the reason hmm, and I think this is the part that I want to touch on when it comes to women that are actually going through what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I decided to go to the domestic violence center to get help, because my son at the time, he was 7, I want to say, maybe 8.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, why you just don't call the police on my dad? Was so big on making sure that he had both parents. I didn't want him to grow up like me, not having both parents, that I sacrificed my safety,
Mm-hmm.
my peace, my insanity for him to be happy, not understanding that was breaking him more than it was breaking me. He had to
So did
witness
you
it.
blame yourself?
I blame myself. I felt like I could have left a long time ago, but I've blamed myself. And I also blame myself for not healing from the trauma, for feeling, the abandonment issues,
Mm-hmm.
that I felt like I had to stay. I felt like this the only person that loved me. Hate to say it, but that's what it was. Not understanding that my son was hurting worse than me. He was seeing all of this. And when he said what he said, Mom, why you just won't call I broke down and cried. Now that I look back, I had to be selfish to take care of me to make sure my son was good. Regardless if we turn out, I'm your only parent, I'm your only parent at this point.
Do you really think that that was being selfish though?
At the
Because
time, yes.
your child was in a home with DV. And so sometimes we think that our kids not paying attention, but they are. And so to see his mom in the tub, and I'm sure at some point he saw bruises on you, it wasn't your fault. And you did what you had to do to protect your child. You got out.
Hmm. It took me a while to understand that. It took me a while to understand that. And I hate to say this, I might get some backlash. I'm kind of glad my son witnessed it for this reason. While going through our court battle, he didn't have to pick and choose of who was right, who was wrong. Kids get stuck in the middle. Well, my daddy said this happened. My mama said this happened. He knows. He was old enough to know and to understand my dad was wrong. My dad did this. This is my dad's fault of why we're in the situation we're in. So it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time.
So when you went to court for custody, they asked your son, what did he see in the home?
Yes, they asked him what he seen in the home. They asked him. So November of 2019,
Mhm.
they granted my son father full custody because they said I kidnapped him and ran from one state to another without doing proper.
Mhm.
They required me to return him back. So Thanksgiving of 2019, I had to put my son on a flight by himself and return him back to his dad, or I was going to be put in jail.
Wow.
I was without my son for 8 months. Didn't know when a court date was going to happen or not. My son's father only let me talk to my son for 15 minutes a day. From 7 to 7:30, that was his time frame. This is when you can talk to him.
Now,
Sometimes phone
during this
calls lasted two
time,
minutes.
so during this time when he had your son, or both of your sons, did he try to get you to come back?
No. By this time, he was living with his other child's mother, the one he had the child on me with.
Okay, okay.
hmm So once I left, he went to her. But altogether, they was already together through the whole incident. And that's what kind of confused me. It's like, if you're engaged, dealing with somebody else, why are you worrying about me? Why am I getting the backlash of everything? Why?
Wow.
He had my son, when I was speaking to my son, he would have my son on speakerphone, listen to our conversations. Where my son was uncomfortable, he didn't even want to talk. It was more of, "Hey son, how are you? I'm good. How's your day?" It was good. And that was the end of our conversation. I knew I couldn't say too much because his dad was listening. I set my phone alarm for 7 p.m. every day, didn't miss a call. When my son's birthday came around, Christmas came around, Thanksgiving, he would not answer the phone at all. Eventually, we went to court. He didn't show up. This was July of 2020. A court date was actually set. I flew all the way from California to where we're located, and we went to court. He didn't show up. So they granted me back full custody. The next day, I found this is how God works. This is when my faith started to be restored. I was like, how am I supposed to find where he's at to get my son? I don't know. The only address they had on file was his brother address in a whole nother city that was like an hour and a half away.
Mm-hmm.
I was riding in a city. I spotted his current baby mother, wife, fiance, whatever she is to him, car.
Mm-hmm.
Followed it to their house. Got the address. That was nothing but God.
Yes.
That was nothing but God. I had no way. We went to his job where we thought he worked, but he switched location. We were trying to find everywhere where he could be located. It was nothing but God. So the following day, I gathered the police, the city police. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
answer the door. So they was like, we can't do anything until somebody answers the door. I said, okay. Me and one of my good friends sat outside down the road where we was able to see their house, but it was
Mm-hmm.
across the street down another road. We sat there
Okay.
for 12 hours until he came out. As soon as he came out that house, I called the police and they showed up. He argued the police down, didn't want to release my son. They even threatened to take him to jail. He said, I don't care what y'all do. Probably about 35, 40 minutes later, the child mother his child's mother actually made my son come outside. And ever since then I've had my son. Since then he has not called his son, hasn't reached out to his son, nothing, but still was taking me back and forth to court, fighting for custody. But you haven't even reached out to him. It was never about our son. It was about me trying to hurt me, still trying to get control of me some way, somehow.
Well, that's how
When are you going to
abusers are.
stop?
They want
hmm
control, and when they can't have control, it's like sliding down a wall like a kindergartner. They don't know what to do with themselves. I've been around it.
Yep. Yep. So, you know, Finally, his last lawyer, he went through 3 lawyers. They all quit on him. We can't do this with you.
Aggressive.
His last lawyer, yeah, too aggressive. The last lawyer told him, "You're not going to win this. Give up." He said, "This is the last court date I'm going to represent you." He finally
Wow.
gave up. He finally said, "Okay, this is what I agree on, visitation X, Y, and Z." He signed, his lawyer signed. I looked over it. I said, "That's fine with me." You think he executed it? Nope. He moved states. He in a whole nother state now.
So what's the end result to this?
So the end result to this,
Take your time.
after sitting here, taking the time to myself, like, you've been through a lot. You've been through things that should have taken you out, from the domestic violence, from childhood, my parents both being on drugs, me born with crack in my system, being in the foster care system till I was 18. I said, "God, you ain't never took your hands off me." I felt so much conviction not to have faith in him, to know that you are the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. I have a purpose here.
You do.
Because if I didn't, I would be wrong. January of this year, I told myself, I vowed, "God, I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you." I started getting deep in my Bible, reading as much as I can. I ran across, hope I don't know if you heard him, Anthony Mitchell, pastor of 2819 Church based in Atlanta, Georgia.
I've heard of the
I
church.
seen him on TikTok. Yes, I seen him on TikTok, and the sermon that came across was called "No Worries," and I listened to it. When I tell you I broke down and cried, I said, "Okay, I'm listening, God. What my purpose is, let me know. Just show me. Continue to show me." March of this year, I said, "You know what? I owe God everything. Because if it wasn't for Him, I wouldn't be here. My son wouldn't have a mother. I had my daughter in 2021. So He blessed me with another child." And I said, "You know what?" I was telling my daughter grandmother, I said, "Hey, mom, I want to get baptized. Never been baptized a day in my life." She said, "Okay." So August 17th of this year, I went and got baptized. I registered for baptism. 2819 Church announced, they do their annual baptism once a year. They
Hmm.
announced when they were going to do their baptism. They only had 400 spots available for a Saturday and the 400 spots for Sunday. So only 800 spots in total.
Okay.
When I tell you I logged on so fast, I was able to register me and my daughter grandmother to get baptized. 3 minutes later, it was all full. It was none but God. So when August came, day of baptism, I told myself, I'm leaving all my worries, all my pain, everything I went through, the embarrassment that I felt, the ashamed, how I was just ashamed to even talk about it,
Mhm.
all the guilt. I said, I'm leaving in this watery grave. I continue to watch, just continue to guide my footsteps. And that's what I did. Now, currently, as I was speaking to you earlier, I wrote out a business plan. I do want to start a nonprofit organization that has to do with domestic violence. I want to, be a safe place for women to come, not to feel ashamed, not to feel embarrassed,
Mhm.
to understand what you went through and your pain, like you said, is your purpose, it's your strength.
Yes.
And I want a safe place where if, we can get them out the situation, help them get a job, apply for school, whatever assistance they need. I want to be, you know, able to, do that. And I held on to the embarrassment for so long and being ashamed about my situation. And at that time, I wish that I had a support group that said, hey, come on, it's nothing to be ashamed of. This is what we're going to do. Instead of having that group, it couldn't be me. You're a good one. Mm-mm. You should have did this. You should have did that. I don't know how you did this and how you did that. You, if you've never been through that situation or witnessed that situation, you
You
can't
can't
tell
give nobody
nobody.
any advice.
You can't give nobody no advice.
No.
And I think a lot of women still deal with it because they don't have nobody to help them. They don't have
Mhm.
that advice on what to do. They might not have that support system, anything like that, because the day after day, after not speaking to them for 5 years because my child father banned me from talking to him, when my dad answered that phone, didn't ask no questions, I knew I had it.
Well,
Everybody don't have it.
so the abuser's job is to keep you isolated because they know that if you
Mhm.
get with someone that's strong, 9 times out of 10, you're going to leave because that
Yeah.
person is going to start building you up because
Hmm.
their job is to knock you down and make you feel less than, like you can't make it without them.
Exactly.
But with God on our side, any and everything is possible. And so
Any
I really want you to know that you're not a victim, you're victorious, and your
Thank you.
pain got you to your purpose. God did
Yes.
not forget about you. Even when we think God has forgotten about us, He hasn't forgotten about us. Our timing is not His timing, and He be right on time.
Right on time. And I have to tell myself, God works in silence. Just because you're praying and you asking, you also got to understand, are you praying and asking because in time of need? Because if you are and you're not talking to him when you don't need him, and you're not praising him and letting him know, just thank you, God, for getting me through this day, you really think, he gonna step forward and just help you right then and there? So I had to, now that I got into my faith, I had to tell myself, it wasn't time. He put me through this situation for a reason. This is my first time speaking publicly about it. And I feel like I'm in a better headspace. I'm healed. Forgive. I forgive him. When I say I forgive him, I forgive him. I hope he have a blessed life. And when I say that, I mean that. I have no hate towards him. I still try to tell my son, like, hey, you need a relationship with your dad. I'm not gonna force it. He don't want it. I'm not gonna force it. But he knows if you want one, I support it. I never was that mother to try to paint a picture of his dad. I'm gonna let your dad paint on his own picture. You're gonna see his true colors. My job
Mhm.
is to make sure I raised you and raise you correctly to follow God and to treat women right. And when I say I get so many compliments on my son, he opened doors. Like, you raised him so well. Thank you. I tried my best. But if it wasn't for God, my savior, I don't know where I'll be right now. I don't know where I'll be right now.
I want to stop just for a second. This is very new for me to not it's not new for me to be interviewing a DV survivor, but it is new for me to be interviewing a DV survivor and be streaming on TikTok. And so we have
Okay.
some women on here that are saying that they are proud of you and that
Thank you.
you are breaking the cycle. And I want to thank everybody that is listening in. I do see you. I just didn't want to stop her interview, but I do see you. I appreciate you guys coming on. She appreciates you. Um, Thank you so much for the love, the taps, everything. And this is her first time telling her story. And I know that there are women out there that are in this situation. And I pray that her story touches you and that you reach out to God so that God can guide you and get you through this.
Yes.
Because you don't
Yes.
have to
He's
stay
there.
where you are. And
God is
I wish
there.
you, yes, I wish you blessings on top of blessings. I
Thank
pray for
you.
your business. You're welcome. I pray that you continue to tell your story because, as I said, there are plenty of people out there that need to hear your story. They need to know that you're a survivor and that you're strong and you got out because some people have given up. So I
Yes.
pray that your testimony gets to the right people so that they can get out and know that God loves them and that God hasn't given up on them. And I'm so proud of you
Yes.
for telling your story for the first time.
Thank you.
And I promised you,
Thank
and
you
I
for giving me
kept
the
my promise.
opportunity.
You're welcome. And I made that promise that you were going to have a safe space and nobody was going to judge you during this moment. And I meant that. I love my
Thank you.
guests. And my guests are my babies, just like my podcasts are my babies. So I am glad that you trusted me with your story. And we're going to push it out so that we can reach more women to help
Thank
them,
you.
just like God helped you.
Right. And I hope my story give the women strength to understand you're not alone. You're not the only one that going through it. You're not the only one that's been through it.
Mhm.
Most women, I can say most women, the part they struggle is the post DV of trying to figure out how to navigate life after escaping from the situation. Maybe having to deal with the embarrassment, the shame, the guilt, the blame, and to understand it's not your fault. It's not your fault. God got you. God got you. Leave it with Him. He got you. He might be working in silence, but when I tell you He has His hands on each and every one of us,
Yes.
He's there.
So I
And I
know
give
you
Him all
told me,
thanks.
yes, I know you told me about the church that you started watching that helped you during your hard moments. But is there a scripture or a favorite
Yes.
quote that helped you as well?
Not yet. I haven't found one that I stick to.
Mhm. That's okay.
Um, But if I have to say, I want to say it's Psalms 143. Don't quote me. I'm still learning my Bible. I'm
It's
still
okay.
learning my
We're
Bible,
all
you
learning.
guys. Basically, it says fearfully and wonderfully made. I fear nothing anymore.
And
I
with that being
I
said,
can't.
for our audience that do not know, I have two affirmation coloring books out there. And this was definitely divine because my first affirmation coloring book for the girls is called Wonderfully Made. And if you guys just heard her, that's her favorite scripture. And we have not had that conversation at all.
No,
So
we
this was
haven't.
definitely divine. And my second affirmation coloring book was for the boys, and that's called Fearfully Made. So I'm pretty shocked that
Yes.
that's your favorite scripture. Yes,
Yes.
definitely confirmation. Definitely
Yes.
confirmation. And congratulations on your baptism. And
Thank
you are welcome. And I'm definitely going to keep in contact with you. You'll have my
thank you.
information. And let's build and help others grow.
Let's go. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Just let me know when and where.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You are welcome. Thank you so much again for trusting me and Paint a Purpose to carry your story. Know that it will be posted. And we're going to keep praying that other people reach out to you so that you can continue to share your story. For our
Thank you.
audience, do not forget you're welcome. For our audience, do not forget all of our books are on Amazon. Tears of a Shattered Heart. We have Wonderfully Made Affirmation Coloring Book, Fearfully Made Affirmation Coloring Book. We also have the author's path that will teach you how to become an author. We have Granny's House, which was inspired by my late mother. Don't forget about Granny's House. Everybody loves Granny's House. So if you are a grandmother out there, definitely grab Granny's House. And we have my latest, which is my journal called Craving More, the Grind and Glow Journal. And that journal will help you if you are feeling
Yes.
stuck, if you need help with goals and motivation and accountability, that journal will help you. It has pages with a bunch of prompts on it. It has scriptures. It has information on there to let you know that you need to get rid of the negativity, which could be a person, people, or a thing that you need to get rid of so that you can grow in God and to be a better you than you were yesterday. It also has a page of affirmations on there. And then the best part, you get to track your days for 60 days and see how you do. All of them are on Amazon. We thank you and appreciate you for watching the show. We are on YouTube every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Hope to see you there. And remember, it's only pain until you discover your purpose and start your healing journey. And we'll see you next time.